Hey guys, I can't believe it has been a whole year since I took the plunge into home ownership. As many of you will know, I bought my first home in Auckland's northwest in June 2022. In this video I'll be spilling the beans into all my thoughts and experiences 1 year on, with the nitty-gritty details of home ownership. A year ago, I was of course eager to have a place to call my own, but the journey wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. From the excitement of researching and planning to the reality of paying all the monthly expenses, and of course ever increasing interest rates, there were a few bumps along the way. But hey, that's what this video is all about, sharing my authentic experiences with you. If you're curious about buying your first home, or just curious about what it's like, you're in the right place. I'll be sharing about what I look for in my first home, how my expenses have changed since buying, and of course sharing some valuable tips and lessons I've learned along the way. Before I signed on that dotted line and became a homeowner, I did my fair share of research and planning. Let me tell you, it was a whirlwind of information and decisions that had to be made. I started by diving headfirst into online resources, reading articles, watching YouTube videos, and devouring every bit of information I could find about the home buying process. Understanding this process, the terminology, and the potential pitfalls was crucial in making the right decisions. One of the top factors that weighed heavily on my mind was the location of the property. I evaluated factors like proximity to work, schools, amenities, and public transportation. It was essential for me to find a neighbourhood that aligned with my lifestyle and had the potential for future growth. The amenities offered by the property and the surrounding area played a significant role in my decision-making process. I weighed factors like parking, security, community facilities, and nearby parks or recreational areas. It was important to envision the kind of lifestyle I wanted to lead and whether the property could support it. Having business and industry moving into the area was a good sign, and having Costco and large-scale data centres moving in was only a positive too. Another consideration was of course the budget, a constant balancing act. I meticulously analysed my finances, factoring in not only the mortgage but also additional costs like the property rates, insurance, transport, that kind of thing. Before moving to my own place, I was renting a downtown apartment on Vincent Street. In hindsight, the cost to move into my own place was significantly higher, which I'll cover later in this video. Finding the right size home for my needs was another puzzle to solve. I considered my current lifestyle, future plans, and whether I wanted room to grow or preferred a cozy space. It was all about finding that Goldilocks balance, neither too big nor too small. In the end, I bought a 2-bedroom property for around $750,000. Now I'll go through my expenses and how they've changed since buying. Almost everything has gone up in price, so I'll be running through all of these to give you an accurate view of what owning a home is like under the current conditions. Trust me, there's a lot more to it than just paying the mortgage. But let's start there because it is by far the largest expense to home ownership. When I initially purchased, my mortgage costs were just under $1,000 a fortnight. I was on a floating rate roughly tied to the OCR plus 1.82%. At the time the OCR was 1%, with the market expecting this to peak at just 3.5%. As we now know, inflation was much more persistent and we're now sitting at 5.5%. Nobody saw this kind of increase coming, not the Reserve Bank, not the government, and certainly not the banks. Along the way, I fixed a couple tranches and kept some floating as a withdrawable offset account. For myself, and I'm sure many others, my mortgage interest increased by 70 to 80%. When I took on my mortgage, I had created a financial model of my income and expenses to work out the maximum interest rate I could comfortably handle. When the fixed rates rose to this level, I moved most of my mortgage from floating rates to fixed. If you want to learn more about paying your mortgage off early, I made a video about this in the past with 10 easy steps. So that covers mortgage rates. The other necessary evil that comes with house ownership is property rates. Every quarter, the council will send you a letter requesting a payment. These funds are then used to fund the infrastructure that goes into the city, such as recycling, food scrap collections, stormwater management, roading, that kind of thing. These pretty much start from around $2,000 for an entry-level home in Auckland, and before buying, you can search for the rates on a specific property on the council's website. Currently, the forecast is for this to increase by an average of 7% over the next year. However, on my property, it is forecast to increase by a whopping 10%. After the mortgage and rates, there's insurance, which is essential when you need a mortgage. When I bought my property, this cost $41.38 a fortnight with tower insurance. Next year, however, this is increasing to $48.66, an increase of 17.6%. This was due to my sum insured increasing in line with rebuild cost inflation, but more significantly due to the recent changes to EQC. Many people may not know, but 59% of interest premiums, at least in my case, are taxes. And here we are thinking that insurance companies are the ones making all the money. Now, moving on to utilities, starting with power. When I signed up a year ago with Contact, I was paying 25.4 cents per kilowatt hour and a 30-cent daily fixed charge. As I live by myself, I use very little power, so I found the best value to be Contact's low user plan, with a $200 sign-up bonus. What I pay now, 1 year on, is much greater. The per unit charge has increased by just over 10%, while my daily charge has doubled as the government is phasing out low user plans. Through to 2027, this daily charge will increase annually by a daily rate of 30 cents. So for a small household such as mine using around 8 kilowatt hours of power daily, this is roughly a $180 increase over the past year, with government mandated increases for many years to come. Living alone, my bill is roughly $75 a month now. So as you're starting to see, household costs are all increasing by much higher rates than inflation. Water is no different, increasing twice over the past year by a substantial 16.7% in total. The reason for this increase has been attributed to infrastructure investment, and from what they've suggested, they've downsized their workforce to reduce this increase from an even higher 10.7%. And the final utility I have is fibre internet, which has fortunately not increased at all over the past year. So overall, as you can see here, using my case as an example of a first home buyer, my housing costs have increased 28% as compared to what it was a year ago. Do I regret my decision? Not at all. When I lived in a downtown apartment for a simple $425 a week, including all expenses listed here, there were countless downsides. During COVID, the city became very dangerous. A taxi driver was stabbed on my street, and government agencies moved a lot of unruly people into the city. In my apartment building, there were several meth users, some with severe mental health issues, and often police would buy the lift with handcuffs at the ready. Regular inspections were also annoying. Owning my own home has given me a lot of peace, especially as my area doesn't allow houses to be rented out, so everyone owns their stake in the community. Positive news is starting to emerge in Auckland's housing market, with major banks suggesting a higher floor price, the Reserve Bank announcing a halt on rate increases, and auction success rates are climbing. Hopefully, the next few years turn out to be better than the last one for homebuyers, and inflationary pressure cools down the increase in living costs. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to give the video a like and subscribe to my channel down below to see more content just like this in the personal finance and investing space. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to catching you on the next one.